Good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Meep. Got my MoMA mug with some tepid tea. Because it's been a bit muggy here. It's overcast right now, but it's been pretty warm. And we tend not to turn on the AC for a while. I turned off the fan while I'm recording this because I tried a test and it sounded awful. So I'm sweating for you. Today I'm going to talk about data visualization, which is a topic I like a lot. I wrote a 5-part series for Compact, which is the newsletter of the Society of Actuaries Technology interest section, and I'll link those. But I have 3 books I want to display today. The first book, Storytelling with Data, was provided to me by a very generous reader. Thank you. It was a quick read. I'm really getting a lot out of this, and I'm hoping I'm going to try a little exercise below this graph with some Memorial Day related graphics, specifically gas prices and also number of miles driven, since this is one of the big mileage holidays, I believe. So what I like about this book, she's not spending, so the author is Nussbaumer Knaflic, I think that's how she pronounces it. And let me just show you this. These are the kinds of graphics, so she doesn't really get along with the, she does mention the heat map and doing a table, but her examples tend to be line graphs, slope graphs, stacked columns, that kind of thing. One of her concepts of a graphic that I really am going to try more often now on the blog is just big numbers. I really should have done that with the CalPERS post, so maybe I'll do a little snippet of a reworked of the CalPERS post, because maybe I did not emphasize it enough that CalPERS is the largest non-federal public pension in the U.S. It is large. It should not be, run in an amateurish way. That was my point. But getting back to the book. The woman who wrote this, she's writing from experience primarily dealing with marketing and HR people. That's just fine. Those are the examples she uses. But she really gets into the design choices you make in making a graph and how you can tell a story. So this is about communicating results. And while I often don't have a lot of time to carefully craft my blog posts, I'm getting a lot from this. This is going to actually help me with my regular day job. It's also going to help me with some of my side jobs. I do webcasts with Actex, which is an actuarial publisher, and I have an upcoming webcast based on data visualization in Excel specifically, and all of her examples are in Excel. But she doesn't really explain how you do it. She's explaining why you do it and what you're trying to get in your design elements. And she gives lots of examples. It's very clear, and the complexity of the data she's looking at, this will cover most people who need this for business purposes. So this is a very business-oriented book. So I generally don't edit these videos either, but I just had Darren run into it. I'll do that in a separate outtake video. This is my second book, Show Me the Numbers. It's by Stephen Few. And this is far more involved than the Storytelling with Data book in terms of really getting into the details of, choosing between a table and a graph, which kinds of graphs to pick. And a lot of the graphics he comes up with looks very similar to what she does in her book. As I said, very detailed, nice big pages. And it's actually kind of set up for workshops. He leaves empty spaces for you to write notes in specific. But a lot of the graphics he shows, let me see if I can make this look good, are similar to the kinds of ones she does. Now, Stephen Few also used to do a newsletter. This is just a printout I did from a PDF from Perceptual Edge, which was his company, but I believe he's moved on from that now and is doing some other things, though he still has a big data visualization aspect to it. So this is from 2012. He does have a lot of books with regards to data visualization, and all of his stuff is for Excel. There are other authors who use fancier software and that kind of thing, but you don't need fancy software to do this. Excel will actually get you very, very far. And then the final one is the big daddy of data viz, and that's Edward Tufte. Visual explanations. He's got a lot of books too, and they're all gorgeous. I fell in love with these books when I first came across them, and this one in particular, it's got flaps. Because he's showing, and I'm going to see if I can do this holding it up with one hand, is how, so architects used to work, they would do these overlays, okay? And he's got a few of these overlays. He has some very famous graphics in here. This is the one with regards to the infected water pump that was spreading cholera in London. This is a very famous example. Let's see. And here's a different graph related to how many cholera infections or deaths, cholera deaths there were by date. So you can even tell when it got infected. I find these books, more inspirational than anything else. Some of these really have nothing to do with graphs at all, just visual information. That can be a diagram regarding to health. This is surgery on the heart, you see up here. And then there's magic tricks, coin tricks here. There's also a little flat. Let me see if I can open this up. It's a little... Oh, yeah, I remember doing this one as a kid, the floating bar or whatever, and it's really, sorry, you're holding it in place with your finger. I used to do a lot of these, too. And this one has an insert because when I bought the book, he likes trying to sell his other stuff, so here were his other books at the time. And he also has some really nice posters. I know a lot of actuaries who actually have this one. It's one of my favorite graphics, and I'll link it. This is a graphic of Napoleon's march into Russia, and that's kind of the orangey one, and the width of the line is how many men were still with him. And the black is them returning to France, and you can see how much fewer there are. Now, some of that was desertion, not all of it was death, but a lot of them did die. And he has kind of a broader view of visual information, so it's not just numerical. There's a lot of other kinds of information that he likes to show. And he's just very good at curating really excellent visual explanations. He's kind of great. So am I. But he has a lot of really, really good publications. And I'm just going to tell you, it's worth it just to look at the pictures, not even reading the text. It's true. Anyway, so these are the books. I'll just hold them all up. And no, I'm not giving them away. I love these books. They're mine. I use these as resources, as I said, inspiration. The kind of data I tend to look at are not necessarily all that rich, but I'm really thinking, I've got some ideas that I'm going to try out because a lot of what she has to say are really easy to implement. I can see right away how to implement these in Excel. So I'm going to try one that has to do with gas mileage, or not gas mileage, gas prices, and then how many miles a day I drive. I drive a lot. So hope to see y'all next week. Bye-bye.